And I'm really, really excited to have my longtime friend, Beth Schnitzer here. And Beth's been on my program before, but I've known Beth, God, for since 1999, where we actually did party like it was 1999. And here we are in the middle of a pandemic, who'da thunk? And you are in beautiful San Francisco, and I am in the suburban Atlanta area, and we're talking about the running our business, talking about primarily Spritz Marketing, your wonderful company that you co-own with Raghu Shriram, and the kind of experiences you've had thus far, and the payroll protection plan around which you wrote a brilliant piece on Facebook on your profile page about, which is part of this program description. So, Beth, first of all, great to see you. You look beautiful. How you doing?
Thank you. Great to be here, Zenny. Good to see you, and thank you for wearing Spritz colors. Spritz orange.
My pleasure.
I like that.
Yes. My pleasure. What? Tell people about what Spritz does that don't know.
Well, we are an integrated marketing and branding agency. And so what that means is we do branding, we'll name companies, we'll come up with a logo, we do messaging and positioning. And then we would launch a company or service and develop the website and app, do the social media, search engine optimization, digital marketing, and then also taking that into PR and brand activations and that kind of thing on an ongoing basis. So we're really a full service marketing agency, and we primarily specialize in lifestyle, hospitality, entertainment, and tech clients. Those are kind of our sweet spots with clients in those industries.
And how'd you come up with a neat logo and the colors?
Oh, well, the funny thing is we came up with the name Spritz when we co-founded the agency back in 2009. So we're just finishing up our 10-year anniversary. My co-founder said, Beth, what are we going to name the company? And without hesitation, I said Spritz. And the reason being is that was a nickname for me. My last name is Schnitzer, but I used to drink a lot of Spritzers. And
oh, that's right, you sure did.
And I had a very, very good friend of mine in New York, and she used to call me Beth Spritz. She just called me Spritz, and I said, if I ever have a company someday, that's what I'm going to name it. So without any hesitation, that was it. And then I think the orange came from energy. It's positive, it's passionate, it's edgy, and our logo kind of slants upwards, which indicates energy and forward thinking, passion. And so I think that really encapsulates all of our branding, being passionate, thorough, excited for our clients, positive about our clients. And those are the types of partners that we work with. They're very fun. And I say partners because they're not really boring industries, events, and just the type of clients that we work with.
Restaurants like Farallon, right? And others. And
we used to work with Farallon. We're working with Z&Y Restaurant now. We also work with 25 Lusk. My brothers are in the restaurant industry. So we've done a website for one of my brothers for sake. And so, yeah, restaurants, hotels. We have a pet camp facility. We work with as a boarding facility. We work with clients that do events, from conferences to the Sonoma International Film Festival, to international squash events, the JP Morgan Tournament of Champions and Oracle NetSuite Open. So we have a variety of clientele, and it really taps into my experience and what I've done throughout my career, and also from that of my partner, Raghu Shriram.
And, I have to say too, from my having known you for this long, I think a lot of what makes your company unique is how, I said before, you can run for mayor of San Francisco because you know everybody, and you've done a great job of proving that relationships are currency. And pouring those great relationships into your business. And that says a lot about your style combined with Regu's smooth operation and technical acumen, you know.
Well, thank you. I think that really is the heart of it, relationships. And we've been able to generate so many clients through word of mouth and referrals. And that really is a testament to it. And it's really from my heart. You know, I'm very truthful, and I want to work with the people we want to work with. And it's important to really have that connection. But I also really make it an effort. It's very easy in today's digital world, but back when we didn't have all the tools, it was a little more difficult to communicate and stay in touch. But I prided myself on doing that. I can remember many years ago signing holiday cards, 500 of them. and I still do a lot of handwritten notes, and that is important in today's age when things are so impersonal. But it is a testament to how much relationships drive the business, for sure.
And so talk to me about what you wrote on Facebook, because I mean, it was, I think the best word to say, it was deep. Yeah. Deep.
Well, you know, Zenny, I really use my social media platforms for more positive posts and publishing about our clients, my family, and different things. I'm a really positive person, but I really got so frustrated and disheartened and dejected by the process that I experienced the past 2 weeks with that. Not to mention the circumstances that everybody's in. Everybody's in this unusual circumstance, and we're all feeling stressed. We're all feeling anxious. We're all feeling depressed, up, down, sideways, you know, zigzag sometimes, you know, and we're all navigating our way through that. But I specifically was talking about the PPP. And when I had heard, and Regu, when we heard about the opportunity that we could maintain our current payroll by submitting an application that would help us to preserve our current staffing. Otherwise, we're going to need to make some additional measures because we just have lost a lot of clients, and a lot of clients have put us on hold until things get rescheduled. So we went through the process. We actually, interestingly enough, met in person with Bank of America. That is our business bank.
Yeah, same here.
We tried to get an online appointment, couldn't. We got an in-person appointment, which was even better. We had a terrific person who guided us through the process and told us about what we needed to do and how we needed to do it. And what he mentioned was that there would be a link that would go live the next morning. We met with him on April 2nd. So my business partner was staying up as we, you know, had our documents ready and we were prepared as to when that was going to go live. And we knew it was planning to be 6 a.m. Pacific Coast time, 9 a.m. East Coast time. But we weren't sure whether it would even go earlier. So my business partner was up all night checking for the link. And it was through the Small Business Administration. It hadn't gone live yet. And I woke up at 4 a.m, stressed out, making sure that we really want to make sure we get it in. Because we also knew it was first come, first serve. And so I was up at 4, kept checking at 5. At 5 o'clock, it wasn't up yet. 6 o'clock, it wasn't up yet. Finally, we saw the link went live at 6:12. Okay. And I'm just providing this because it's context and that we did everything on time. And I think probably early. We had to be probably one of the first 1,000 or 10,000 applicants, I would think, for Bank of America. Got everything uploaded by 6:20 a.m. Pacific Coast time. And got the little screenshot that acknowledged that all the documents were, you know, the application was successfully uploaded. So we got that confirmation. And then we waited. Waited for over a week. And then I received a phone call. So I received a phone call on a Saturday. I actually thought it could have been spam. We have received several fraudulent calls from people saying that they were underwriters And
Yeah, that's really bad. Ugh.
and that's when, so I've had my antenna up, really making sure that these were legitimate Bank of America employees or Small Business Administration employees. So we did get a call and spoke with the representative on the Monday after, and I believe that must have been the 10th, I believe. It was that Monday. And she told us that we were going to get a link to upload these other documents. You submit the application, then you have to submit all your payroll documents, your tax documents, a number of things that they needed to qualify you for the loan. And she said, maybe it's in your spam, but keep an eye out. Well, we hadn't gotten anything in over a week. Then it's 8 days, then it's 9 days, and we're talking to this representative over 10 days. And then she tells us to submit the application again. We submit the application again. And at that time, we heard all these stories about loans were being made, dollars were being distributed, millions of dollars had already been allocated. They were just talking about the fund running dry. And I'm thinking, oh my gosh, we still haven't gotten the link. How can that be? We had to have been one of the first people through Bank of America to have submitted. And I can imagine there were probably glitches. I am sure that the system was overwhelmed, but it's surprising to me that that was not anticipated better.
Yeah.
And then, so Zenny, we didn't get the link after talking to the representative till this past Saturday, which was 4 days after the PPP funds were depleted. We uploaded the documents, we received acknowledgement, and we've been in touch with this Bank of America representative out of Texas. And she has been terrific when we finally can get through to her. And she said she's accelerated it, but to no avail, we understand we're now in the queue for this second round. But I have to tell you, what I'm most disappointed, disheartened, dejected is when you hear about these large, well-capitalized, publicly traded companies that got $10 million loans, $15 million loans. This is supposed to be for small mom and pop, somebody like us who, we have 10 people on our payroll here, 15 in our satellite office, 25 people on our payroll. It's not intended for, these multi-million-dollar publicly traded companies. And I just was beside myself thinking, how can this be? How can it be? Wake me up when this dream, this nightmare is over. And, we want to keep everybody employed. We're a small business. We want to keep it going, and we're resilient. San Francisco is resilient. We started this business in 2009. It was in the middle of the recession, worst time you could start a marketing agency. So we know what it's like to start from the bottom and be able to really showcase your services and develop clients in the worst of times, because we need to make them the best of times. So we will see the light and we will get through it. I want to be able to keep our team. We love our team and we want to maintain that staff, but we also have to do the numbers and what kind of revenue is coming in versus, what are our operational costs. And from what I'm hearing and from what I'm reading, that here in California, things may not be opening up too soon. So we can't count on these events and some of our clients that have put us on hiatus when that restart date might happen. It's just impossible to project that. So we really have to have a plan B in effect.
Hey, I can actually pull up what you wrote on the screen and I can read through part of it. And so
Sure.
In the magic of StreamYard and folks, and it's quite a nifty little deal we've got here. So
I love it.
And what we're going, is to pull up. There it is, right there, and there it is, right here. And so, folks, it goes like this. It's also in the description, but I'll read it on behalf of my friend, and
a little long.
a little, but I think effective nonetheless. It reads like this: most of you know I'm not one for posting anything negative or political. However, I feel compelled to share my feelings given the unique circumstances we are all experiencing. This is not a political post, but rather my comments on an economic issue that is facing me and my small business, SpritzSF, an integrated marketing and branding agency. I'm totally disheartened, disappointed, dejected, disgusted, and outraged. As a co-founder, small business owner, and single self-partnered person, it has been a daunting struggle emotionally and physically and financially these past 5 weeks, working nonstop to keep our small business afloat, maintaining our current clients' business, motivating our staff, staying positive, and being there for friends and family and colleagues and industry leaders. And we found the business back in 2009. So resilience is part of the Spritz DNA. I'm confident we will survive and pivot as needed. For the new reality, as part of the pivot process, we had to lay off staff in our SF and Bangalore offices. Really sorry about that, Beth. And reduce hours for team members, given the sudden loss of business and cancellation of client events. To that end, we applied for the federal disaster and relief packages through our business bank, Bank of America. And this is, I'm going to stop there and you're sort of getting back to the conversation. But I read that to ask, can you, one part here that's, if you will, missing is that what's happening in the economy around you all? What's going on with these? Because I hear a lot of restaurants that where you're going to get clients and others, the whole field are just struggling. What's going on?
They are struggling. We have one of our clients, actually several of our restaurant clients are doing the takeout and deliveries, but that's not their normal business model. So they're really doing that. They're not making money, but they're keeping their lights on and they're keeping some people employed. So what it does for them and for us working with them and doing a lot of all their social media and some of the partnerships, it's keeping them top of mind. So that really is important. For anybody marketing in a crisis situation or something like this, you have to be able to showcase that you're there and you're sensitive. But I'm really proud of Z&Y Restaurant because they're doing some special senior citizen offers every day of the week at one of their restaurants. They're donating. In fact, I was just there last Friday and where they donated 60 lunches through the Telegraph Hill Neighborhood Center, a nonprofit board that I serve on, to a senior center. And those seniors, to see their faces when they received this boxed lunch from Z&Y was incredible. It was so fulfilling because they're one of the most vulnerable groups in our society right now. And, we need to support them. So they're doing that. In fact, we're going to be going to the local SFPD to deliver to them as well. But I can tell you, there are a lot of restaurants and they're all boarded up. I was on a webinar this afternoon listening to the CEO of SF Travel. And
Yes.
people may or may not know, but tourism is the #1 industry in San Francisco. And what he said is that, sadly, 25% of our restaurants will not reopen again, sadly.
Say that one more time, please.
He said 25% of the restaurants will not reopen. And that is sad because there are so many restaurants in San Francisco, and I'm hearing it, I'm reading about it, I'm seeing it, and that's sad because we're really a foodie city. And I know a lot of people miss out on that. I know a lot of restaurants are getting creative and they're coming up with packages. They can sell the beer and drinks, and they're doing really fun, specially curated packages directly from the chef. Some of them are doing Zoom calls with the sommelier, or the winemaker. So coming up with fun, really almost like a brand activation, really, so to speak, getting, you pick up the food, you're buying the food, you're getting it, you go home, and then you watch the Zoom with the winemaker, the sommelier, which is a great idea. It's fantastic. Or to be able to talk to the chef and have a Q&A with the chef. So it's forcing them to be a bit more creative. But again, like I said, they're not making a lot of money on this. They're keeping lights on and keeping people employed. And from what I hear, once everything reopens, it will be an incredibly different situation with, less tables, less capacity. And mostly everyone knows for restaurants, just like airlines, just like, museums, it's about capacity and filling it up and then turning those tables. So it'll be interesting to see if their business model will support it and how they will need to adjust.
Did Joe talk about a timetable with respect to a cure? Because if we find a vaccine, then of course the world celebrates and we go back to, normal. Not fast, of course, but
yeah. Well, that's I completely trust our Governor Gavin Newsom, and our mayor of our city, San Francisco, Mayor London Breed.
Yeah.
I think a lot of my East Coast friends, when we had the shelter in place, people were like, they were sort of incredulous, like what is going on in San Francisco and California? But we were out ahead of the game. And yes, kudos to them for really being out there and putting the safety of the citizens first and taking smart, measured, decisive action. And one thing I do listen to Governor Newsom every day, and I have complete confidence, and they're not going to do anything about opening up early. We did it right, and they're going to continue to be led by data, is what he's been saying, and I think that's what they'll continue to do. So there is no timetable, but the CEO of SF Travel did say that a question came up as to how far out events and conferences were canceled, and he said through the summer. And one of our big events, as you know, we've run the Beta Breakers, which is 50,000 people running a 7.5-mile race. So fun. And
I ran it 20 times.
Yeah. Okay. There you go.
That goes on.
Walked it. It's
since my first Beta Breakers was 1988.
Wow.
I finished 1 hour, 4 minutes, and 30 seconds.
Incredible.
I still remember that. And it was literally all downhill from there.
Exactly. But that is scheduled for September, and it'll be interesting to see if that takes place. If you ask me personally, I'm saying personally, I don't understand how that could happen so soon, unless, like you said, there's tests, there's vaccines, but I don't anticipate large gatherings happening anytime soon. And what I've been hearing is even through the fall. We have a client, and the event takes place in New York. You're aware of it. It's the JP Morgan Tournament of Champions squash event. It's in Grand Central. We have a San Francisco event that takes place in September, the Oracle NetSuite Open, and they're the top squash players from all over the world. And, I think our concern is, what's going to be happening with the airlines at the time.
Yes.
Are those international flights going to be coming in, their safety? And so it's tricky. We're already talking about the January event for next year and whether that's going to need to be shifted. Do we need to move the venue? How will that work? So I'm excited because even with these clients, what we're doing is we're planning for plan B now. Because even though we don't know, we have no idea what it will be, but we've got to start making those plans now. And that's what we're doing as a company too.
Hey, did Sandro, did he happen to factor in, or did his organization factor in the bailout and how that might help San Francisco restaurants survive so that you don't have that 1 out of every 4, terminated problem?
Did not come up. That wasn't discussed. But I know the trade group, the Golden Gate Restaurant Association, is lobbying hard to help support the restaurants. There's a lot of resources out there for them. I personally wonder. I used to work at Pier 39, as you know, for many years. I was vice president there, and the whole Fisherman's Wharf, which brings tourists from all over the world, how they're going to bounce back this year. I mean, I would imagine it's going to take a long time for that to bounce back.
And what bothers me is and this gets to a question I wanted to ask you about sponsorships, because you also know about, you work with event producers now, and you have for your entire career life, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, or majority of it.
Mm-hmm.
If the businesses have a hard time coming back, those businesses translate into potential sponsors. So when do we see the sponsors becoming whole so that we can have even sports events again? Because I understand that in the larger sense, for example, Allegiant Airlines said that they are going to remain as the title sponsor for the Las Vegas Stadium, but that's one report. This is an unusual situation for everybody. What do you see on the horizon?
Well, I agree. It's a challenge. I did speak with someone called me today who is a senior executive, sports marketing, and does sponsorship and works with a network. And I asked him, how are you dealing with all of your sponsorship? You're not televising the games. They paid. He said, we're doing a lot of make goods. We're doing a lot of make goods and refunds. Now, from my perspective, with Sonoma International Film Festival, I had sold a presenting sponsorship to Chase United Mileage Plus cards. And we've had to, we rescheduled the film festival. It was scheduled to take place at the end of March. It's been rescheduled for the end of July in a much smaller scale version. And we're still working out what that is going to look like. Luckily for that sponsor, they received a lot of the benefits before, a lot of the advertising benefits, because we were only about 3 weeks away, I think, when the lockdown and everything kind of happened, and then we had to reschedule. But we're in touch with them on a regular basis to see how we're going to integrate them into this new scaled down version, I should say, of the event. And it'll be it's going to have to be a mutually agreed upon process and how we can do it given the constraints that we have. Because we may want to do one thing, but it may not happen. And, we want to have talent there. We may not be able to get the talent. If we're not having all those flights coming in, how are we going to get some of these filmmakers from all over the world coming in from Europe? They might be nervous. So it's a bit tricky. So we're going to work with them. And, for these big sports sponsorships, I really don't know how they can make up for that live experience. We're moving some things to virtually with the Sonoma International Film Festival. We do these Friday virtual films, and we integrate the wine sponsor and other sponsors and the food, and it's fun, but it really can't replace that live brand activation where you're up close and personal with your clientele.
I think also something else about all this is you have a situation where a number of people don't know how big the bailout is going to be, because it seems like they are piecing parts of it out. I made a calculation and wrote a blog post around it that we needed almost $10 trillion based on a very simple, hey, how many households we have, what's the average income, how many small businesses, what's their average income, multiply that gives you two sets. And then, of course, you have a $3 billion chest for large businesses in the government, 3.1 billion, trillion, excuse me, not billion, but $3.1 trillion. And that adds up to 9.8 trillion total. By contrast, we're doling out, it seems like new nickel and diming. And I'm wondering, and I want to get your take on this, and I not to be political, but in a sense, we are talking about government operation. Why do I get the sense the president is using this to divide the country?
You know, when it first happened, there was light that I saw in terms of uniting the country, and that everybody was on the same page, and that we are fighting together against this virus.
Right.
Together, because we know it doesn't discriminate against Republicans or Democrats or what color of your skin, what religion, what age. And I was thinking, wow, for the first time, there's calmness, there's peaceful, kind messaging on social media, kindness to essential workers that you've never seen, that people may not have respected in the past. And that, to me, was so a beautiful outcome. I will say that. It was a beautiful outcome that should, I hope, remain as we move forward in terms of that respect and kindness. I think some people have different motives, unfortunately, and now it's really turned to be unkind and politicized. And I think sometimes perhaps that can be attributed to lack of knowledge or denial, and inability to have empathy, inability to recognize what is going on, because you may not have been impacted directly, but I guarantee, well, I don't know if I guarantee, but I would guarantee that almost every person will know one person or an indirect person who has been impacted either by the virus or economically by the pandemic. It has to be.
Hey, in Oakland, we have a $500,000 fund for small business that was announced yesterday by the mayor, Oakland Mayor Libby Schaaf. Does San Francisco have a similar program? I didn't get information on it. Doesn't mean it doesn't exist.
Yes, there is. The Office of Economic Development, they had something initially, an emergency fund, way back in early March. It went like that. Wow. Before we could even jump on it. We hadn't really recognized at the time. But there is another one now that they've put together. I don't know the value of it. It's significant. But what I do know, based upon the email that I got back, that I believe they're giving out $10 million, and the number of applications that came in would equate to like 250 million. It was a crazy number.
Wow.
It may not have been that exact number, Zenny, but it was a marked difference. And I believe the date that is going live is April 22nd, and it will be a lottery system. There have been so many.
Oh, wait, that's today.
The 22nd. Oh, that is today. Midnight. You're right.
Hey, actually, you know what? We're going to the 23rd, the NFL draft, but so the 22nd passed, but that underscores what everyone talks about not keeping track of days.
We're not keeping track. Exactly. Well, we submitted, but we will be notified if we were selected in the lottery. And that is the only way that they can do it equitably. But I am thrilled. And, you know, a lot of the tech companies have stepped up, Zenny, and I don't know if you've heard, I have seen that, you know, Facebook was doing some grants. I've seen that Salesforce was doing some small business. So Raghu and myself, we're keeping our ears and eyes open to see what other resources are out there, not only for us, but for our clients, and even for the nonprofit boards that I serve on. That's important. But I'm happy to hear that Oakland is doing that, and San Francisco. And one other thing that I wanted to mention, Zenny, is we know this about San Francisco, but some of your viewers may not know. We don't have we don't have any really chain restaurants in San Francisco, very minimal. There are a lot of small mom and pop businesses, and there are a lot of restaurants that are only, you know, that are one single owner. They don't have multiple restaurants. And so that is what brings us so much diversity to San Francisco. And that is why there's such a need to keep that vibrancy going and to get that influx of money.
You're absolutely right. Because here, particularly in the suburban Atlanta, this is ruled by chain restaurants. You've got everything from Shake Shack to, as you've heard about, right, to uh, Hardee's, to Charlie's. Uh, my goodness, of course, Burger King, McDonald's, Longhorn Steakhouse. You've got Ruby Tuesday. I mean, obviously, I can name them off my tongue because they are within our driving orbit, which is generally about 4 miles in any direction. And here, it's if you find an independent restaurant, they are few and far between. There's a handful of them. They're really good, but their wages they pay out here are really comparatively low. But on the other hand, our gas is $1.69.
Wow.
Per gallon. That's without the discount. With the discount, you can get it down to $1.50, and it may be even lower today.
You know, I haven't taken my car out, so I haven't been to a gas station a long time.
So, comparatively, but in terms of getting back to small businesses in San Francisco in particular, how can people contact you for marketing help, since you all geared particularly with web building and everything else?
Yeah, no, thank you, Zenny. You know, it could be anywhere from social media to help creating a logo, coming up with a PR strategy, messaging, positioning. They could contact me personally, Beth at SpritzSF.com. It's Beth at SPRITZ SF.com, or info at SpritzSF.com. And I will be back within 24 hours or less. Typically, I get back as soon as something comes in. I will respond personally to any inbound inquiries. It doesn't get automated. It's not going to anybody else to respond. I respond.
I just put her email right there, folks. And hey, thank you for, I'm saying to the person that's watching in persons, but if you have a question, you can type it here. And but I'm going to go forward. Also, because I haven't been back in a while, and in fact, I've got to send my rent to Oakland. And thank God my clients still love me. But what's life like in San Francisco now?
I'll tell you, Zenny, I used to go out to events all the time, connecting with people. You know, a lot of my events with the Richmond Urban AIDS Foundation, they're events that we go to. So it's that part of that non-human contact is really difficult. It's something unlike I've ever experienced in my lifetime. And it's funny, right before I got back, I went for a walk up my hill to the University of San Francisco. And that's where I do my walk, on my exercise. I jump rope. And as I walked back down one of the main streets, I saw one car, many, many blocks down. It was completely empty. And I had a view of City Hall. So people are abiding. It's very eerie. It's a ghost town. It's not like we're in the suburbs, because you're used to noise. Noise. It's eerily quiet, very quiet. People are wearing their masks. People were wearing masks before it was mandated. I've been wearing and I've had an N95 mask since the fires. I've kept it. So I've had it for 2 years, and I've been wearing that from the very beginning. And then I had my neighbor make me this, which is so pretty, you know. Oh, nice. And I love the way people are making masks, but people are being very respectful and they're wearing the masks, but it's very empty and quiet. You know, I have like colored lights up in my apartment here, and that gives me joy, and it gives joy to my neighbors across the way. And I have hearts hanging down just to share happy, kind peace, you know, right? And a little flicker of joy.
You playing music around the house?
I'm sorry?
Playing music around the house? You got any Stevie Nicks?
I should do that more. I really should. I'm trying to consume with a lot of information that I'm getting online. I'm reading so much more than I ever have. And I wake up really early and I'm reading like for an hour and a half, 2 hours, from Wall Street Journal to the New York Times to everything. Zenny 62.
Yay!
Yes.
Oakland News Now.
And trying to get all that. But I do use music to help me go to sleep. I've been having some trouble sleeping, and some people have told me that to stay away from any digital within an hour before you go to sleep,
Really?
and listen to some either classical music or jazz. And that's definitely helped a little bit, to soothe my brain so I'm not zipping around all the time and thinking. And that's definitely helped. And I have chamomile tea before I go to bed too. I'm drinking water now, but I have tea every night, and that helps.
So that's a great idea. What do you think? Go ahead.
I was just going to mention, I don't know if any of your viewers have pets. I was curious as to how people, it's been really fun. What I've heard here in San Francisco, and I don't know if it's like that way in Atlanta, but there are no pets to adopt in any of the shelters. They've all been adopted or fostered.
Wow, I haven't checked into that. I will ask around.
Amazing. Really amazing. And for a lot of people that might, be single, self-partnered, to have a pet, whether it's a dog or a cat, it's really wonderful. And we have a client, Pet Cam. It's a boarding facility. They're still open, and they're providing free daycare for different neighborhoods, which is awesome. So to get your dog to socialize, because your dog misses socializing with other dogs, like we miss.
Yeah, right. That's true.
Interaction. I love the Zoom. I love what we're doing, and I text a lot, but it's hard not having that person to person and being able to hug somebody.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. And we're social creatures, and I think people need that to keep sane, because sometimes I get the impression that in some places in society it's getting to us.
Yeah, exactly.
Wow. But have you noticed the air is cleaner and everything when you get out?
Totally. Absolutely. And that sky is blue. It is so clear. It's stunning. And, the other thing is quiet. And I haven't been to the Bay. I haven't been anywhere, to the water. I just haven't. I'm sheltering in place. I'm following the orders. I go to the market, maybe once every 2 weeks. But I've heard that. Ragu has told me, and I've had several friends have spotted coyotes. There was a coyote on the street.
Excuse me? What?
Yes, what? Coyotes. They've come out. Coyotes. Ooh. Yes. And one was spotted on Front Street, right down, as you're going on to near Fisherman's Wharf. It's amazing. And what I've heard more so, interestingly enough, are birds chirping. I'm getting up at 6. I go to the paper. I get some air outside my house, and I have not heard that so much. And even my brother in Miami, he saw a blue heron on the sidewalk. He's never seen that on the sidewalk. And some of the birds that he's seen. And I think with the humans away, they're coming out. And it's quite beautiful in some ways. We're literally and figuratively in the doghouse, right? And they're out.
Right. Hey, so in closing, in respect for your time, a little bit of a curveball. Tomorrow is the 2020 NFL draft, and you worked for the NFL for some years. What do you remember about working for the league?
Well, that at the time, that was when they had NFL properties in the league, and I worked for the marketing arm of that. And I'll never forget working on Super Bowl. Gosh, I can't remember the number, but it was at the Rose Bowl when Michael Jackson played the halftime performance, and Garth Brooks.
The Raiders and the Vikings?
No, I believe it was Buffalo Bills and maybe Dallas.
The Dallas Cowboys. That was 1994.
1990. Yep, that was it. Yeah, and Garth Brooks did the national anthem. It's funny how you remember all that, right? It was great. It was a tremendous experience, and everything led to Super Bowl. Love the NFL. I mean, it's going to be interesting to see how that may have to adapt in the fall. It's funny. I have my little Super Bowl Niners. Well, I'm putting this on my computer. I had gotten that at Super Bowl this year. And
Hey, show up to the camera there. The camera lens if you can.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah, there you go. There we go. Look at that, folks.
Woo.
Look at that.
And I was lucky and blessed enough to be able to go with my brother who lives in Miami. We were all together near the 11th Street Diner, and my brother and sister and actually attend the game. And luckily it was before the pandemic, and that was great. But I'm excited for the draft. I mean, at least we're gonna, see something live with sports now.
Right. Right. And with everybody sheltered in place, they'll probably have record.
Cover it. I think it's going to be great. I look forward to it, and with a lot of the changes that are already happening, it'll be exciting to see what happens. Who do you like?
I actually like. Well, the Raiders have 2 picks that I just have a feeling they're going to try to move up and get a star linebacker. And on addition, I'm really interested to see what the New England Patriots do post Tom Brady. A number of mock drafts have had Jordan Love out of Utah going to the Patriots. So we'll see what happens. But we're having an NFL draft party tomorrow, which you're invited to. It's at 7:30 Eastern, and the draft itself starts at 8. You can pop in and out anytime. And we're going to have trivia and get away with a few prizes, but just kind of a party, a place to come. And on Oakland News Now, we have a special portal, which I'm going to announce the URL for tonight. So everybody can just simply type in the URL and go there, and without any further ado or anything else. So
what time's Annie?
7:30 Eastern.
7:30 Eastern. Okay.
Yeah, just 30 minutes before the draft itself starts. So I've got a number of interesting people that I've invited, and we've got our mainstay of vloggers, including Donald Richardson and Mason Riggs and Vinny Lospinoso and the inimitable Richard Hike, who's not really into the NFL, but does great talking about the Oakland Athletics, and Anthony Carrillo, who's an old-time friend of mine who lives in New Jersey.
Oh.
And we've got Bill Carroll, who's coming back, who's a draft master. I talked to him tonight, who also covered the draft with me many moons ago. I go back to the 2005 NFL draft. And so this digital approach gives me a chance to test out some things I've always wanted to do, but were never really able to do. Well, that's not quite true, because even when I was on site, I figured out a way for people to come to the blog and see our live stream. So I can't put myself down like that. So,
how they'll be doing it through a conference, virtual conference call like this, and it will be from the NFL headquarters, or will it be from their homes?
It'll be from where Roger's going to name it from his home.
Okay.
And then they're going to have another office in New York. They're going to use it out of headquarters. Okay. Then I believe Los Angeles. And then there will be a camera at the head coaches' homes. They have a special wired system that way. So everybody is, decentralized to reflect the fact that everyone's sheltered in place. But what I was thinking was that the NFL would have more of a portal for everybody. And what I wanted them to do was to go something like Second Life, where you walk into this digital representation of the draft, with these little figurines walking along, and you're the avatar and the figurine and all that, which they could actually do, right? But whatever.
I love that. That would be fun.
Yeah, it's also expensive to produce, so they probably figured, I get it. It's going to be interesting. It's going to be quite interesting. But I'm all for Second Life.
And to your point, a lot of these things that are going virtual, the companies are saving money, right? Instead of doing a conference where everyone's flying in or flying everybody in. But at least people can have, tea or water or what have you, and watch and engage with you. It'll be a different twist. That's for sure. It'll be exciting.
Yeah, definitely. So in terms of how it's going to look here, like you can see both of us on the screen, right?
Yes.
Okay. It'll be more people. So we can have up to 6 people at once. And then we can fit 10 in the queue. And then if necessary, I have an overflow room I can set up. And it's pretty neat. You know, I like this a lot. It's not quite like Zoom, but on the other hand, what I like about this is that it really syncs with YouTube very, very well.
I see.
So right now we're talking here. We're also live. If you go to Zenny62 on YouTube here, you might recognize that.
Yes.
Live. See?
Yes.
Live. So it's pretty neat, you know. Pretty neat in tech. Hey, so stick around, but I'm going to close this out, and I'm going to say, folks, if you have to stay in, there's always great music like
And then also on social media, I encourage anybody to follow, SpritzSF on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and I look forward to staying connected. And this was really fun. Thank you so much, Zenny. Really appreciate your support of me and Spritz and our friendship through the years. It's really been great.
You. We got to do it again. We got to get you on the vlog.
Okay, sounds good.
Set that up. All right. So stick around. But folks, we'll be back with a mock draft in a little bit. But subscribe to Zenny62, and we'll see you.
Thank you.